Just string it up.
Those hole locations are, did you
I have, yeah, on the template I had marked them on here. This template I had put them on the bottom of the template on my thing here to make it easy. That you can mark your tuner holes, and then you can play this down on the bottom end and mark your 3 holes for the strings. You can put them, stagger them. You can do anything you want. It's just they're basically just spaced apart to where they're the same spacing across the neck when it's on the guitar. So.
What type of strings? Acoustic,
They're
gauge,
acoustic.
medium
Middle.
gauge?
These are a little bit lighter. They're a 36, 26, and a 17 unwound. I usually do middle of the road. Do 26, 36, 32, and maybe a 42 or 46. I stagger them sometimes. I buy them and I do different gauges. Get a little bit different sound.
you use electric strings?
Only on the electric ones. Only on the ones that I put electric pickups in do I use electric strings.
Okay, so
This will just be acoustic, yeah. The electric strings, I only put them on the ones I put regular guitar pickups on. Okay, so we got our holes drilled for our strings. We got holes drilled for our tuners. What I do now is I'll cut the slot for the neck. I know I'm using different tools. Sometimes you got to use what you want. You could use a hacksaw. You could use whatever. I'm going to cut a little bit of a notch for the nut to sit in, which is just a 1/4-inch bolt. It'll sit in the groove. If I cut a notch, it'll sit down in there. It won't move. It won't shift around. And then we can run the strings over top of it, to go down when we string it up. I use the square a lot because it's a good way to get a square. I mean, you can get your straight across your neck. If you try and hand cut it by hand, sometimes you're going to be all over the place. You're not going to be straight. Your nut's going to be crooked. But I'll cut a little bit of a slot in it, and so the bolt will set in there, and then we'll mount the neck on the box. What I do is I just use a square and hold the square across the line and take a saw, and you can just cut a groove. You can go with this, you can probably go like a 16th of an inch or so deeper. You can use a file. I brought a file. You can use a file. You can take a file now and file a groove and get it wide enough so the bolt will sit in there and it won't shift around. You want to get it so it sets tight in the neck and it don't shift around. But I use a saw. I just cut it on an angle and cut a groove out in it. That's where the nut will sit. The nut will set right in there, and once you put the strings over it and get the strings wrapped over top of it, that'll hold it down. Now, maybe I'll mount the tuners. It's a little easier to mount the tuners now than it is to mount them once you get it mounted to the box. The tuners, excuse me, I got them mounted there. You can do any configuration. I've just got these mounted with one on the left and 2 on the right or whatever. So when you put the tuners in, the gear is always going to be towards your box and your knob. So when it pulls on the string, it's going to hold the gear tight. So that's the way it'll be. And then you'll put, with the other ones on the other side, you put them in, it'll be the same thing. The gears will be, your brass gear on your shaft is going to be next, going towards your box. Not good. Grab the wrong one out of the box. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens when you. There you go. Shoot, got going. You got a drawer full, one drawer full of one drawer full of the other, and they all look the same. Sometimes you end up with one thrown in there that's not supposed to be in there. Okay, now with the you can put the 3 tuners in, and then you can get them lined up, and then you can drill the little holes. I drill with a 1/16 inch drill bit, and drill the holes and mount the screws in on your tuners, and you just got to make sure you got them straight, and then they'll line up pretty nice then. They are, I mean, they're offset. I've got them pretty staggered, so they're. I've got them staggered. This is off a template that I use on almost all my guitars. That's the way I have them. They're pre-spaced, but like I said, you can do them any way you want to. You can mount them any place you want to, and you know, stagger them, mount them, put 3 on one side, 3 on the other. It just doesn't matter. You know, I mean, the one David was playing the Steves has them all on one side. I kind of like them staggered because the headstock's a little shorter. I'm not crazy about long headstocks for some reason. So you can hold them if you got it clamped down or just held down, you can hold them on the table and you can look from the top. You can line them up on a right angle that your tuners are straight. And you don't have to drill just 3/16 of an inch or so in to hold your tuners. You don't want to drill through the headstock. And believe me, I have done that once or twice before, drilled through the headstock. And there's 6 screws in the kit that hold your tuners in. They're pretty small, so you got to kind of be careful on slipping them in. Start them now. I'll start them and I'll run them in after I get all of them started. You don't want to tighten the little screws too tight, because especially in this is poplar, some of the wood you'll pull the threads right out, so you don't want to tighten them too tight.
Do you get a different sound if you use different wood on the?
Yeah. I mean, I use a lot of different stuff. Some of the really good sound, I don't do a lot of maple or that kind of. Mahogany. I do a lot of a red oak, white oak, and poplar, and some different pines and some different things. I do a lot of. I recycle a lot of stuff. I mean, I do a lot of recycled wood. I get a lot of wood from different crates and pallets and stuff, especially pallets. We sell mowers, so I have a lot of pallets that come in. There's a lot of really nice wood that ends up going scrap, and I look for the really cool looking stuff, and I'll take and I'll cut it up and I'll run through the planer and I'll come up and make necks out of stuff that people probably wouldn't normally make necks out of, but some of my best sounding guitars is made out of some of the recycled woods that I've used. So it's, you know, you just got to do what works for you, and wood's expensive as it is, and it's all going to go get shredded up and used for something else, so it might as well be a guitar or something to make it out of. So okay, now all right, we got the tuners mounted. I have little bushings that'll sit on top there. There are some metal ones that you can get. You have to drill to put down in to help hold the tuner straight, but these work pretty well for the more inexpensive guitars. Like I said, we got our holes drilled for our strings. I got the box marked on the inside. You take the box and mark wherever you're going to mount it. If you're going to mount it on the back side or on the front, you have to mark a center line. I use doing and measure across to where if you're 1.5 inches on your neck, which is what most of these are, you'll be laying your guitar. Your guitar will be going on the box like this, and I mark it from the back and put a line on it, and then the support brace that goes in the back is just any kind of piece of wood you buy. Have 4 foot of this, you cut whatever off, measure the inside of your box so it fits on the inside, and then I drill 3 holes for the screws, for the wood screws that go through to hold the box and the neck together. And this bracket will end up going, I'm all thumbs some days. You never know I'm a mechanic. This will set on the inside of the box, and the 3 screws will go through, and that'll be what fastens the neck of the box. So sometimes that is a little more difficult part, is getting it all lined up and putting it on. That's why I brought the clamps, because I don't like to chase stuff around the bench while I'm working on it. You take and make sure you get it on the right way, because you don't want to screw the box on the wrong way. So what you do is we'll set the box on the back of the neck, and you can line it up in the center of the box with your marks, and then you put the block of wood. I use 3 screws because one at each end just doesn't seem like you'll get a little flex in the neck, so I always put 3 screws in the center of it, and then we'll drill the 3 screws and screw it fast to the box.
Pre-drilling the holes into the neck.
Yeah, no, well, I drill a small hole in as a pilot hole inside. I'll drill this hole bigger than the screw, so the screw will fit in. I'll do 3/16 or whatever the size of the screw is I'm using. I use an 1.5 inch screw on these, and I'll pre-drill it so the screw goes through your bracket, and then I'll use the little drill and just pre-drill the box just to put so the screw will screw in easier, because these screws have pretty big threads on them, so they lock the box on the neck pretty well. So I said you center it up with the lines, whatever your lines are, and how you mark it to set on your box, and then just drill. You don't have to drill down 3/8 of an inch or so. You don't want that. It's just like the headstock. You don't want to drill. You don't want to drill through the headstock and have the crazy hole sticking out the top of it. Kind of ruins the way it looks. I just take and run a screw in to hold it on. Usually I'll drill the 2 first and then drill the last, the one last or whatever, however it works out the best. All right, done.
All right.
Looks good, hanging on the wall.
Need a bridge.
See you next week. All right. Now we'll put the strings and stuff on it. We'll string it up. Pretty much, you got your boxes mounted. Got our nut marked. Got our nut marked. Got our bridge marked. And we'll just we'll mount the screws or mount the strings and stuff on. These little white bushing things just slip over top of the shaft.